Hello, Jen here, and I have another layout for you for the Baby Got Scraps YouTube and Instagram hop that's going on for the whole month of January. So a bunch of scrappy, talented, amazing ladies are all coming together, and for the month of January, we are using up our scraps. Some of the ladies are playing along every day for the month, and others are kind of hopping in here and there just to add some tips and tricks and fun layouts to the mix. So pull out your scraps and come and play along as well. We'd love to have you. And there are no rules except for one. You can only use one 12 by 12 piece of paper. Everything else on your layout needs to be those scraps. So by scraps, you can kind of come up with what you think is a scrap, but we're looking at maybe anything that's like a 6 by 6 size or less. All of those bits and pieces of papers that you've cut apart and decided you really liked the pattern on what was left over and you kept it, or you've got branding strips or whatever it might be, those are your scraps. Go ahead and pull those out and come and play along, and hopefully you'll make a really good dent in your stash. Maybe you'll make some space for some new goodies, or just have that really good feeling of knowing that you've used up a bunch of your stash. So I'm doing something that I really love to do, and something that for me was a bit of a necessity for a while. I couldn't always get my hands on 12 by 12 papers, especially pattern paper. Usually I could find some white cardstock. I could always go to Michael's or something like that and get some of their basic cardstock, but I couldn't always get nice, well-made 12 by 12 pattern papers that I could use for backgrounds. So what you saw me do there was take 4 pieces of paper from a 6 by 6 paper pad, pull them out and stick them together, and now I have a 12 by 12 background. And this becomes the perfect grid background. It's great if you have, maybe you have bits and pieces of a collection, but you might not have any 12 by 12 papers left. You can take all of your scraps and kind of fit them all together and create your own background that way. Now, if you wanted to do this on top of another piece of paper, definitely go ahead and do that. You saw me just kind of butt the papers together, and I used some of those branding strips and then some washi tape to reinforce the back. This is going into a pocket or a page protector, so I'm not too worried that it won't hold together. But if you were using smaller bits and pieces and kind of piecing together a whole bunch of scraps, definitely pull out a piece of 12 by 12 paper that, maybe it's just a plain white one, or a weird color that you don't think you're ever going to use, or a pattern from a different paper pad that you don't think you're ever going to use. Or if you're like me and you get you have some of those cheaper paper pads that the papers are really, really flimsy, pull out one of those and just go ahead and use that. And it might not give a lot of extra structure to your papers, but it can help you make sure that you keep that 12 by 12 size. So however you want to do it, with this paper pad, it's the Snow and Cocoa from Crepe Paper. The paper's thick enough that I didn't feel like I needed to back it with anything. I just grabbed those 4 patterns, put them all together, and now I have a background for my layout. And so for me, I was kind of going for a little bit more of the solid backgrounds rather than ones that had a ton of pattern to them, because I knew I had all these little scraps and bits and pieces, and I wanted to put those over top of each of the quadrants, I guess you could say. But you pick and choose how you want your background to look. I just think that this is a really great way to use up a lot of scraps. Oh, my sons got their kiwi crates, and for Francis, his is he gets the Tinker crate, and it was to build a spin art. So he was showing me his paint. That's what you keep seeing popping in over there. Anyways, so I just kind of love how now I have those 4 sections where I can pile up all of my little bits and pieces and scraps. So you saw me do that there. I put a couple different pattern papers, and I tried to find some sort of either saying or card. This collection comes with cut apart sheets, so those are scraps from a cut apart sheet. So I have one of those in each of my little sections. And then I had enough of my pattern, my little pattern papers, that I was able to kind of mirror some of them. So that darker teal color one with snowflakes on it, I was able to put in opposite corners to each other, and that kind of craft paper with, it almost looks like snow, and the white paper with the triangular kind of snowflake pattern, I was able to put those in opposite corners to each other. And then just kind of mixed up all of the colors too, so there's a little bit of each color represented in each of my squares. So once I had my papers down, I went into my embellishments, and definitely you can add more. You saw I still did have some scraps left over. I threw them back into my little How to Kill a Kit with Style bin that I've been keeping for this month, just because I knew I wanted to come back. I'm using this paper pad and all of these scraps for the whole month of January, so I didn't quite want to use all of them up, but you can definitely do as much or as little as you want. So build up your layers even more or make them more simple. It's totally up to you. So I just went ahead and I embellished each little section. I tried to keep everything within the boxes similar, but they don't have to be. Again, you can do whatever you feel is right for your layout, but I do kind of like, when I'm doing something like this where I have 4 distinct sections, I like to look for things in my embellishments that might come in 4s. That doesn't happen that often. A lot of times you'll notice your embellishments come in odd numbers, especially 3s or 5s. That's just kind of an eye-pleasing arrangement. But occasionally you'll find that things come in 2s or 4s. And so this is a great time if you have embellishments that you kind of have seen are coming in groupings of 4s, pull those out. So in the chipboard for the snow and cocoa, there were 4 chipboard little birds. And I honestly think I probably would never have used them. Those are the type of thing that I struggle with, where, what layout am I going to put them on? How am I going to use them up? But this is the perfect place for them. I needed 4 of them, and this is kind of just a cute, fun, whimsical layout. So this was perfect. There were also 2 yellow stars and 2 glittery gold stars, so I pulled those out and I used those too. Then I added a few little words and phrases and some snowflake stickers, and that's it. It was pretty quick to pull this all together. Oh, I also added my title. I made my title Winter Snowy Comfort and Joy. So basically, I thought that was fitting because we are in Banff in my pictures, and so one picture is myself and Sebastian, and we have our beaver tail, and then the other picture is Francis, who was actually sitting right beside us, and he's got a freshly popped bag of caramel popcorn, and those are 2 of our favorite little treats that we get when we go to Banff in the winter. And after we've been walking and playing and exploring all day, we like to grab some of those comforting treats. Usually some hot chocolate and apple cider goes with it too, and then we'll head back to our hotel. So I thought that title worked out really well. It got some of my stickers used up. And lastly, I added some splatters of mint and magenta and gold and yellow. And that's it. That's my layout for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please check out the links below for everybody else who put together some scrappy goodness today. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.